What's up guys, Valmont here. So Valkyrie Elysium was released just over a week ago. It's a very divisive title among Valkyrie profile fans, and I'm here to lay down my final review on the game while keeping things spoiler free. So go ahead, hit the like button and subscribe to help us keep on growing, and let's get right to it. Let's hit it. Whenever you change the gameplay on a series, you're bound to be very divisive. You are going to fatally alienate a huge part of its original fan base and at the same time bring in new fans. Of course, there are also those old fans who will enjoy that experience. And also there is a catch about Valkyrie Elysium that a lot of people seem to have forgotten or never noticed. It's a spin-off title. By no means this represents a permanent change in the original Valkyrie profile series, at least not yet. And to better elucidate this change, I like to bring to the main stage one of my favorite games ever, ladies and gentlemen. I present you Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Even though Metal Gear Rising is not a spin-off title, the spirit with which it was developed is very much the same. They wanted to create a game, tell a story within the Metal Gear Solid universe, but bringing about a very significant, a heavy change in the gameplay aspect. And while I certainly won't discuss this amazing game at length as of now, I will do it at a later date. It's very easy to draw parallels between Valkyrie Elysium and Metal Gear Rising. A heavy change in the gameplay department was implemented while keeping and or adapting many of its core elements. Now, of course, not every Metal Gear Solid fan is gonna like this because, again, huge change in gameplay department. However, if you enjoy high-speed and stylish games with an extremely aggressive combat system, you definitely should give Metal Gear Rising a very good look, which brings us back to Valkyrie Elysium. The shift from a traditional JRPG to an action game brought about a very interesting and malleable combat system. You can chain combos, you can use your energy hooks to perform the flight of the Valkyrie. If you don't know what that is, then make sure to check out this 10 combat tips video that I made for you. I'm gonna leave the link for it on the screen right now. You can summon your Einherjar at will, all while managing your summoning bar to make sure you never run out. And the possibilities, the combinations you can make are very interesting. Maybe you just need long distance support, so you're gonna summon your mage, then you're gonna summon your archer while you do the close quarters combat. Or maybe you just need an extra sword for some quick mop-up work. And speaking of extra swords, you have a few different types of weapons at your disposal. You have common swords, a great sword, a rapier, a few different lances. Now, granted, the only thing I'm really missing here would be a bow. This was a little bit of a letdown because the Valkyries in previous games in this franchise are all able to wield bows. Maybe they'll implement this in a future update. Now, by no means I'm excusing this. They should have given us the bow from the outset. And you also have many attack spells which were present in previous games in the franchise, and this time around, our Valkyrie of the Hour, Maria, is able to use any of those spells if she has enough crystals stocked. And I'm glad to say that they're all very useful. They behave very differently from one another. And of course, your enemies also have elemental weaknesses, but this time around you can see them from the outside. You don't need to scan them, you don't need to hit them beforehand, so you can, pinpoint exactly what their weakness is. No, it's right there in plain sight. However, you don't exactly need to just hit the enemies with their elemental weaknesses. You may find it better, for example, to hit an enemy weak against fire with a lightning bolt because it will chain into nearby opponents, stunning them very briefly, allowing you to reposition yourself. And you can also use the elemental attributes of your Einherjar. So even if you don't have crystals at the ready, you can still summon your Einherjar and do some severe damage exploiting those weaknesses. Oh yeah, there's also weakness to different types of weapons. So yeah, in the gameplay department, this game is very good, but we're still not done with it. Because you see, you can also upgrade your Valkyrie's abilities. You have different skill trees, 3 to be exact. And besides your standard upgrades, attack power, health, and crystals, you can also learn different abilities. And if you're no stranger to games that give you the possibility of parrying your enemy's attacks, Dark Souls, then your offensive capabilities will be even greater. And yes, don't worry, Ningbelung Valesti is in this game. Don't worry, it's there. Now, still on the gameplay department, whenever you level up your weapon, you always get new finishers for your combos. You sometimes get aerial attacks, you get different aerial attacks, you get different finishers for your dashes. And when you put all of those gameplay aspects together, you have one solid hack and slash title. Now, speaking about the story side of things, well, it is told in a few different manners. Of course, first we have the cutscenes, which you can see right here on screen. And then we also have those memories you find imprinted on some blue flowers you find scattered throughout the game's world. Those are a nice touch because they are memories of the deceased, so you can see desperation, anxiety, you can see hope, there's all sorts of things. It's really interesting. Now, of course, this being a hack and slash game, the story isn't as thick as it would have been in Valkyrie Profile 1 Lenneth or Valkyrie Profile 2 Samaria. That being said though, I wish there was a little bit more exposition, especially pertaining the game's main villain. Now, still in the story department, you also get cutscenes between yourself, Maria, and your Einherjars. There's an interesting dynamic between them, and there's also the fact that oftentimes during the game, as you're walking around the game's world, you will get inner dialogues between Maria, our Valkyrie, and her Einherjar. It's a nice touch that adds depth to their relationships, to their characters, to their personalities, so yeah, good going. However, since we have less Einherjars than what we would get in both Valkyrie Profile 1 and 2, some extra cutscenes could have been added to spice up things. It works, but I have that impression, I have that lingering sensation that another 30 or 50 horsepower could have made things a lot more engaging. And you'll be very glad to know that this game has multiple endings. I'm not gonna tell you how many are there, and I liked what the developers did in order for us to get those 4 endings. You see, you can see all of them in the same playthrough. You don't need to play through the game multiple times to see all of them. And of course, as a musician and someone who's always appreciated good music ever since before he began playing an instrument, I really recommend that you play this game with very good headphones or a very beefy sound setup in your living room, because this game's soundtrack is amazing. The same goes for its sound effects too, they're really good. And you also have Einherjar side quests, which will help further their story. Now, I must be honest here, not by a whole lot. You get to see a little bit more, but it's never something that impactful. Sometimes it's beautiful, yes, but it lacks a little bit of punch. And when you clear them, you'll be getting extra moves for you to customize your Einherjar's moveset. Now, talking about the graphics, well, here's the deal. When I first saw that video that was released about 6 months ago, I wasn't exactly surprised with what I saw. Maybe there was more than one video, but I only saw one. However, bear in mind though, I am playing the PlayStation 5 version, and I've had some of my viewers tell me that things don't exactly look very good on the PlayStation 4, but at least on the PS5, which is the system I have, the character models are good, they're very beautiful, you do have some very good scenery, so from what I've seen, while certainly their graphics are not spectacular, they're still nice to look at. And oh yeah, you also come across some blue flames as you explore the game's world, which will enable you to do extra side quests. Now, I didn't have time to do all of them, but if you want, they're there. So, in the end, as I always ask, where does that leave us with Valkyrie Elysium? Well, for starters, this was clearly a lower budget title, but that doesn't mean it's bad. You will feel this lower budget in the absence of certain things which I have mentioned in this video. But by no means this makes it a bad game. It's a very entertaining hack and slash title. It does bring us many elements from previous entries in the franchise. So in the end, all things considered, I give this game a 7.5 out of 10. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, then please go ahead, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel to help me keep on growing so I can keep on investing and bringing new releases to you. So as always, this was your man Balmon speaking to you. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next round. Later.